Welcome to the Daughter Arise channel. My name is Yvonne and this channel is all about bringing you content about childhood sexual abuse. On this channel I share things to do with my experiences of going through childhood sexual abuse, and I also share news stories and add my thoughts and commentary to them, and also from time to time I do interview survivors and their supporters in hopes of raising awareness about this childhood trauma. So if this is the type of content you're looking for, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so that you can be notified of any new uploads. And if you do like the content, don't forget to hit the thumbs up. So in today's video, I wanted to share with you a story about a survivor whose trauma really did have a big impact on her life. Now this story is from the Daily Mail and it is about a tattooed mother who was sexually abused by her brother from the age of 6. And basically this story is about how she's coped with that trauma by getting a new tattoo every week to cover the emotional scars from his torment. I will leave a link to the story in the description box below for you to check out for yourself. So the story says a mother who has covered most of her body in dramatic artwork has revealed the tattoos help her to cope with the sexual abuse she experienced as a child. Melissa Sloan, 45, from Powys, South Wales, I'm not sure if I've said that correct, whose entire body is shrouded from head to toe with dramatic designs, explained that her tattoos are her way of covering the emotional scars of her horrendous sexual abuse from her paedophile brother. The mother of 7 claims that she was sexually abused by her brother Gavin, 46, from the age of 6, and now she has broken her silence about her years of torment. Her brother Gavin Sloan was finally jailed in May for a string of sickening rapes and sexual assaults against other children. Melissa says, "My tattoos help me to cover the emotional scars that Gavin left behind. They're my mask and I hide from the world behind them. But now he's finally in jail, I can begin to feel free." Melissa claims her complaint was not taken seriously by the police and he was never charged with the alleged offences against her. She was horrified to read a news report of Gavin's recent conviction for child sex offences involving other children. Melissa said, "I am pleased that he is at last behind bars, but I feel angry too that my own complaint wasn't investigated properly at the time. I've suffered all my life because of the abuse. My body is covered with tattoos and it's my way of coping with the trauma of my childhood abuse. I tried to blot out the memories by covering myself with tattoos." Melissa and Gavin grew up in Kidderminster with their mother Doris and 2 other siblings. Melissa is 1 year younger than Gavin. She said, "Gavin and I have the same mother but different fathers, but we were raised as brother and sister. As tots we shared a bath together as siblings do. But when I was 6 and he was 7, Gavin touched me below in the bath. I told my mum, but we were both small children and she brushed it off. She didn't really believe me. But it carried on and it got worse when I was in my teens. Gavin and I shared a bedroom and he took every chance he could to grope me. He tried to make me perform sex acts on him. He drilled a small hole in the bathroom door to spy on me. I grew up thinking it was normal. He told me it was fine because he was my half-brother. I tried to fight back against him, but he was stronger and very aggressive towards me. He called me sexual names and made inappropriate comments. I saw him kill birds and small animals and I was very frightened of him." The abuse continued until Melissa left home at age 16. She said, "I couldn't take it anymore and I ran away from home and slept on the streets for a short time. I was very troubled." Melissa eventually turned her life around. She got her first tattoo aged 20 and has since covered most of her body with different designs. She currently gets 1 or 2 tattoos a week. Melissa said, "I found the tattoos very therapeutic, a way of blocking out the past and also the abuse. Gavin got in touch again and even as an adult the suggestive comments continued. He just didn't seem to see it was wrong. When I was 35 I made a complaint to the police because I was worried that he would do it to someone else. I was interviewed but that was it. Nothing came of it and I went away thinking that I had left it too long." Melissa has since lost touch with her brother, but last week was appalled to read on a news site that he had been jailed for raping and sexually assaulting children. She said, "I was stunned. I had no idea about the case at all until I read about it online. I'm relieved that he's locked up, but in many ways I feel frustrated that it didn't happen sooner. If my complaint had been taken seriously, perhaps those poor children could have been spared. It's a horrible thought and I torture myself with that." Her brother pleaded guilty at Shrewsbury Crown Court to the rape of a child, possessing indecent images of children and sexual assaults against children. In a case described as harrowing by the police, Sloan pleaded guilty to more than 30 offences and was jailed to 21 years. 2 female accomplices were also sentenced earlier in that month for their part in his 6 crimes. Louise Smith was jailed for 11 years and pleaded guilty to 12 counts of sexual activity in the presence of a child and causing a child to commit a sexual act. Jenna Ball, 37, received a 2-year sentence after admitting 3 counts of arranging child sex offences, causing a child to commit a sex act and possession of indecent images. Following searches of his home, officers found numerous videos containing indecent images of children, including a video of Sloan himself sexually assaulting a young child. The images had been taken between 2013 and 2021. This discovery led officers to the arrest of the 2 women. Detective Inspector Joe Delahaye said that this investigation has been one of the most harrowing for all involved, and we welcome the sentence that was handed to Sloan. We also welcome the sentences handed to Ball and Smith for their part in assisting Sloan. He is a highly dangerous individual who preyed on young victims, and it's incomprehensible that he would commit such crimes against children and young people. Our thoughts remain with the victims and those close to them. So as you just heard from that news story, absolutely so devastating what's happened to this lady named Melissa. She is 1 year younger than me, actually. She's 45, I'm 46. So she was coming up in probably the same kind of era, the same kind of decade when my own abuse was happening to me. There are a few things that I wanted to pick out from this story. The first thing I think that really stood out to me is that when she was 6 years old, she did try and tell her mother, but her mother brushed it off. I sometimes think about how many times a mother or a parent brushes off sibling touching, because we do know there is peer-on-peer childhood sexual abuse. It's not really talked about as much because obviously a lot of the focus, quite rightly, is on the adult perpetrators, but there are siblings who sexually abuse their sibling, you know, like a brother sexually abusing their sister or a sister sexually abusing her brother, but it's not really talked about. I think it's a shame that the mother didn't take her concerns seriously, and quite possibly the fact that they'd always shared a bath and all this type of stuff, she probably just wrote it off in her head as just something that kids do. But actually, it's not normal for children to sexually do things to other children. And the next thing I want to quickly touch upon is her sense of shame. Now, the reason why she wants to hide her face is because of that sense of shame, because of what he's done to her. And, you know, she seems like a really lovely woman and she's covered herself in all these tattoos to cope. She says it's quite therapeutic. And I think what I would love to see for Melissa is that she could get therapeutic help, like proper therapeutic help. Because even though she's using these tattoos to cover up her pain, you know, getting one every week, you know, it is only blocking out the pain. It is not healing the pain. It's not dealing with the root cause. And I know it is very, very painful to come face to face with your trauma. I've been through it. You know, I've talked about on so many other videos my 25-year journey to healing and dealing with my own sexual abuse. But it's so necessary because, as I've mentioned in my workbook that I've done for survivors, you know, when you're not dealing with the wound, with the infection, it will continue to just manifest itself in so many different areas of your life. What therapy does is to clean that wound so that it can start to heal. And that is what I do feel Melissa needs. And again, I've mentioned about paedophiles time and time again that they do not change their spots. Paedophiles cannot, and a lot of the time will not change their spots. Even when they are caught, they are unrepentant, they blame the victim, they blame whatever else. They never take personal responsibility. Melissa shouldn't blame herself. It's not her fault. She tried to go to the police, but it wasn't taken seriously. But her paedophile brother just shows you they don't change their spots and they will go from place to place where they can, sexually abusing children. And shame on those 2 women who assisted him in feeding his perverted lust. I think the second woman got off quite lightly. She should have got a long, lengthy sentence as well. But as I finish this video, you know, this story just highlights the damage caused by childhood sexual abuse, what the victim goes through in order to deal with trauma. Melissa's way of dealing with her pain, dealing with her trauma is tattoos. Other people's is alcohol, drugs, self-harming. There are so many different things, eating disorders, that when a victim of sexual abuse is in pain, they will use these different things. And I'm not saying every single survivor has these kind of experiences with all these different outlets that is quite destructive to them, but that's all they know how to, do because they're trying to cope with the pain. I'm not saying all survivors go through this, but a large majority of survivors do use different things to go through the pain. And my hope as I finish this video is that Melissa gets the support and help she needs to be able to process her trauma. I'm so sorry that she's gone through it, and I hope now that he is in prison, she has a sense of peace, that she has a sense of that she can move on with her life. But as I mentioned, she's going to need therapy and support to really deal with the root causes of her pain, of her kind of addiction to tattoos. And I'm in no way judging her. I really do feel for her, and I pray all the best for her. So that is it for this video. Until the next one, take care.